is In the Know for Thursday, June 4, the 156th day of 2020. There are 210 days left in the year. Good morning, MB, guiding you through In the Know at K105. On Litchfield's Country Station, 103.9 The Moose, live online at K105.com via the Apple and Android smartphone app, using the SoundCloud or iTunes podcast, on Facebook Watch, on YouTube Live, on Periscope, and the hashtag is In the Know. Coming up today, we update you on the latest news headlines from around the community, the county, the Commonwealth, the country, civic unrest. We'll also talk about the COVID-19 update and just check in on everyone, seeing how they're doing. That and a whole lot more coming up today here on In the Know. She's the pride of Pumpkin Center, the heiress to the great mini burger fortune. She's Vera Wang's arch nemesis and the professional bargain hunter's woman of the year. She's Misty Embry Thomas. Hey. How's Misty?
I'm okay. How are you?
Doing okay? Welcome back. You were away yesterday on important business. Yukon Cornelius filled in for you, and he did a really good job up until we told him about the Jif peanut butter. And from that point forward, he really just sort of disappeared out into the...
I missed that part.
He was distracted from that point. I'll fill you in during the break on what happened with the Jif peanut butter. But he went Doug Heffernan on us in a hurry, which that's the only downfall about having Dennis Cook in on the show, is that he can go king of queens in a hurry.
He is Doug Heffernan 2.0.
That's right, he is Doug Heffernan. Beej is out today, and Sam is over there sitting in. He's a 5-time winner of the coveted Ohio Newshawk Award, 2-time Silver Sow nominee, covering every corner of the globe: Washington, London, Moscow, Northern Kentucky, Shrewsbury, and even Morgantown on occasion.
I have flashbacks.
Flashbacks to Morgantown. Sam Gormley, and more than sports today. Morning, Sam.
Morning, Ralph.
Thanks for filling in today on short notice. You're normally here. You're just not normally inside this
like
little
Oz,
inside
the man behind the screen
aquarium. That's right. You always doing important work over there, just not necessarily as visible as you are today. You're filling in. I need to tell everybody today that Christy is away today because we got a call early this morning, about 3 a.m., that her maternal grandfather, her Papa Charles, was in some distress and being taken to the hospital, and she rushed to the hospital as well, and he passed this morning. And so he went to his heavenly home, and so she's away today and spending time with family and doing what families need to do, and she left me here to try and hold down the fort here. So anyway, I will... we covet your prayers, of course, and lifting up the family. But I also want to beg for your forgiveness in advance because I'm distracted this morning, and so I'm going to try and get through the show and do what we need to do here. But you'll understand if my mind is drifting elsewhere while there are other things going on today. And I guess I'll touch on it later in the show because we alluded to it yesterday. Misty, when you weren't here, today is Anna's 18th birthday.
I know.
So intersection of
Bless her heart.
sorrow and joy all on the same day. So it's going to be a tough couple of days, and we'll get through it the best that we can. Thank everyone for their support. Weather-wise, hot, humid, scattered afternoon, evening storms. For today, we'll see scattered storms may produce strong winds this afternoon. Mainly dry this morning, but showers will fire up in the afternoon. We'll reach highs in the mid to upper 80s. Scattered thunderstorms tomorrow, rain chances at 60%. 89 will be the high. Tonight, evening storms, mostly cloudy, 40%, 71 scattered thunderstorms, a high of 89, and a 30% chance of rain on your Friday. Minnesota is what a lot of the nation has been watching over the last 24 hours to see what prosecutors would do. And prosecutors have now charged all 4 police officers. So there's 3 additional charges. 3 additional officers charged in addition to Derek Chauvin. And in the death of George Floyd a week ago this last Monday. And the Chauvin charge has now been upgraded to second-degree murder. So amping those charges up just a little bit. And that, from the news coverage that I saw there, that I don't know if delight is the right word, but certainly the majority of people in Minnesota that had been protesting welcomed the news that now all 4 officers, though they had all been fired last week, but now they've all 4 been charged on various crimes. It will be interesting to see I heard a discussion earlier this week about the challenge for prosecutors to make sure that they bring the proper charges for the case that they can make.
Right.
The protesters and those with unrest want to see the book thrown at these officers, but the challenge for the prosecutors is you got to charge the case you can make, because what's going to hurt most is if the officers are charged but then they're exonerated for some reason, or maybe they couldn't make the case because they overcharged. So I think the protesters would say, I'd rather justice be served for a lesser charge than swing for the fences and risk these folks walking away because of some technicality, or a jury said, well, they did something wrong, but it wasn't this wrong for the 3 extra officers who maybe were seemingly bystanders. Because what will that do if those who are politically have political unrest that are protesting, if a year and a half from now, when this is adjudicated, if they walk, we'll be in the same situation all over again. And I don't know that our nation can handle that or will want that. It's not as if tensions or abuse of power are going away in 2 weeks or 3 weeks because of the protests. It's all part of a process, but we need to be moving in a positive direction and doing the best that we can. Closer to home, Michael Brown, the Secretary of the Governor's Cabinet, gave a brief update on the KSP investigation into the death of a man in West Louisville after shots were fired at police and Kentucky National Guardsmen early Monday morning. The officers and 2 guardsmen returned fire. David McAtee, the owner of Yaya's Barbecue Shack restaurant, was dead at the scene where police and the guard were trying to break up a gathering that was in violation of the 9 p.m. curfew. Brown said McAtee died of a single gunshot wound to the chest and said, we have not recovered a whole bullet, but we have recovered, I understand today, some fragments. We are now in the process of trying to identify the nature of those fragments to determine if they came from one bullet or more than one bullet and determine the caliber. Of course, they interviewed some subjects and found some weapons in the restaurant that we reported to you yesterday, so they're trying to sort through that and get to the bottom of it. On the COVID-19 front, the governor, as part of that briefing, and by the way, in case you're looking for the governor, he's moved his briefings up an hour, Sam, is that right?
Yeah. So he's now at 3 local times.
Yeah, he had been asked multiple times over the last few months to abbreviate his briefings, kind of compress them down to a half an hour. And then I think primarily the Louisville and Lexington media, who don't want him on at 5 o'clock because they want to do local newscast at 5 o'clock, ask him to move to 4 Eastern time, which he has done. So if he seemed to disappear from your daily routine, just try an hour earlier. But he reported that a large spike in new cases of the coronavirus and the state's youngest victim to die from it were among the topics that he covered yesterday. He said a 9-month-old child from Hopkins County was in the list of deaths. He said the lead cause of death will not be COVID-19, but the way we have listed every other individual, if it was a contributing factor, it will be on our COVID list, he said. State Public Health Commissioner Dr. Stephen Stack says in a normal world without COVID, the cause of death probably would have been SIDS. There was another unusual death reported yesterday. He said, Dr. Stack, being the he, said this was a 48-year-old male from Shelby County. This was an individual where we were aware was COVID positive and to our understanding was doing fine. He did not have any pre-existing conditions that we are aware of. In addition to those 2 deaths, 6 more were reported yesterday, 3 from Jefferson, 2 from Edmondson, and the other from Gallatin County, bringing the state's death toll to 450. Are we concerned with the uptick in numbers? Does it seem like we're trending, or do we feel like this is a manifestation of increased testing?
I think we're going to see if this is really as contagious as we thought initially was in about 6 to 8 more days with all of the riots and these mass gatherings across the nation. So if we continue to test, we're going to see if it did spread. So I don't know. I don't know that increased testing is. I think it's. We're probably testing at the same rate, but I don't have any data to prove that. But also, we're getting back out there. We're opening doors. We're socializing again. So now we're seeing it. And we knew this would happen. We knew it would increase, as we reopened things. That's just the way the virus is going to work.
Before the show, I saw an interesting statistic, and it looked, and it was on a chart of the line was 1, and if you were below 1, you were getting better, and if you were above 1, you were trending in the downside. And Kentucky was at 0.99 as of this morning.
So teetering.
But, yes, but as of 10 days ago, they were at like 0.91. So they're kind of getting, they went down and then they're kind of going back up. But it's not as much of a curve that you can even really call it a curve, if that makes sense.
But I think Misty makes a very valid point. In 10 days, we're going to find out after the majority of the protesters not wearing masks and not protecting themselves after they go back to wherever they came from, and we'll see if the spread of this, picks back up. I did talk with a friend yesterday who is having a medical procedure on Friday, who, unbeknownst to him, had to be COVID tested as part of pre-op, and expressed that had he known that, and had he known the invasive nature of the test, probably would have delayed the procedure. And so with this, he was sharing with me, I said, I heard they get up in your thoughts with the test, being that they
pick your brain.
Yeah, and not in a verbal manner.
No.
And so I'm wondering if there's enough information out there being shared with people who have been tested that they tell their friends, like, "Whew, that was rough," and now people are hesitant to go fill the testing availabilities that are around the state. So we're actually testing less people than we'd like to, because people are going, I don't want you picking my brain.
It curbed my appeal when free testing came on the campus at Twin Lakes Regional Medical Center, and I was battling some allergies. And in that moment of thinking, is it allergies or do I need to go and be tested? I thought, I'm going to see if the Benadryl works. And if the Benadryl works, it's truly allergies. And thank God the Benadryl worked. But it did cross my mind. Do I want to put myself through that?
Yeah.
Like, I hear it's very invasive.
Sam, your demographic set seems to be of the mindset of resilience, or less likely to be vulnerable to the side effects of it. At least that's what I've observed. Can you tell any change in attitude or pivot for your age group, the ones that you stay in contact with socially?
I mean, I don't know that there's been much of a change. I think it's more just it's happening. I think now, like everybody, is just getting to the point where it's kind of like, okay, come on, like can we
Let's
start
get
to?
it, well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there is some fear of. I mean, like one of my main fears is that both of my grandparents are in their 90s, and it's the worst thing could happen is if I have it, don't have any symptoms, but would bring it to one of them.
Right. Yeah.
To where, I mean, that's where it's actually very, very serious.
That's the fear is, am I weaponized? Like, I'm not afraid of dying of COVID. I'm afraid of being weaponized and not knowing it. So in that thought of, is this allergies? Do I want to be tested, or just want to hunker down for the next 2 weeks and make for sure that I get past it? But
here locally, the Grayson County Health Department reported one new case of the coronavirus since Monday. The newest victim is a 22-year-old male employee of Purdue, so lives in Grayson County, works down the road. No new deaths have been reported. Misty, you got an update from the health department last hour. Anything new this morning beyond what I just mentioned?
no, just the concerns that we are reassimilating back in society, but less people are wearing masks and using social distancing measures. So it's almost like people are just over it. Therefore, we're not taking it as seriously.
I was at the store yesterday, and I'd say probably 75% were wearing masks, but then you had the handful who either had it halfway off, like draping down the side, or had it pulled down, and I wanted to tell them, like, that
doesn't serve the purpose.
Yeah, just don't wear it at that point.
In my travels
Ineffective.
yesterday, I stopped at a gas station, and I had to stop at a store, and I can tell you 75% of people were not wearing masks, except the employees. And I thought, oh, we're getting too acclimated to old life, I think, too quickly.
Talk with my colleagues from around the various markets, Warren County, Hardin County, Davis County, etc. And our observations are that you can go into businesses that are side by side with one another, and you can go in one business and everyone's wearing masks, including the staff. and then you can go in the next door business and no one's wearing a mask, including the staff, the employees, or whatever it might be. So it really, I think there's some political lines drawn. I think there's just some situations that that you can conclude or you can draw upon. Let's see. You all want to go ahead and take a break? We need to we'll go ahead and take our first break and get out of the way. Got plenty more headlines to talk about for the morning, got stuff to take care of, but we'll follow up with you here in just a moment here on In the Know.
At Litchfield Pediatrics, we don't just love our community, we love yours too. Now offering telehealth appointments for visits for mental health such as ADHD or depression, and for visits that do not require a physical exam such as rashes or pink eye. If parents have questions about what is eligible for telehealth, call Litchfield Pediatrics at 270-259-5641.
If you're the average person, you only think about income taxes from January to April. But the choices you make 12 months a year have a big impact on your tax return preparation and even your refund. Making adjustments to your financial matters during tax filing season is like trying to lose weight during a routine doctor visit. The certified public accounting firm of Buckles, Travis & Hart work year-round to advise clients on important financial decisions so that during tax filing season, you're carrying a lot less stress and worry. Join the Peace of Mind team with Buckles, Travis & Hart, 270-259-5604. Or GraysonCPAs.com.
Your health is important to you, so when you find yourself face to face with sickness, your main concern is simply how to feel better. Well, rest assured, your feel better starts right here at Midway Pharmacy. It begins the moment you walk through our doors, where you're greeted by our friendly, knowledgeable staff, and continues on with special services like free delivery. So whether your goal is to maintain a healthy lifestyle or to overcome that untimely sickness, remember,
your feel better starts here
at Midway Pharmacy.
This is Kentucky Agriculture Commissioner Ryan Quarles. Before this crisis happened, 1 in 7 Kentuckians struggled with hunger, and it has only gotten worse with lost wages, missed school meals, and seniors isolated at home. That's why this station and Feeding Kentucky are uniting against hunger. You can help your local food bank by donating at feedingky.org. With your help, we can make a difference. Consider donating today at feedingky.org.
On the basketball court, you have to know where the lines are. It's just as important to know where the lines are in your own yard. Kentucky law generally requires you to have underground utility lines located before most excavation work, even if it's on your own property. If you don't call 811 and you damage a natural gas line, the Kentucky Public Service Commission will investigate you, and you may be fined up to $1,250. Much better to stay within the bounds of the law and call before you dig to start putting in that backboard or goalpost. For more information, visit psc.ky.gov. This message brought to you by the Kentucky Public Service Commission.
Snapchat is the latest social media company to take action against President Trump and will no longer promote content from Trump's Snapchat account in its app. The change will make Trump's Snapchat posts more difficult to find in the app, though the company isn't removing any content or changing how his posts appear to his subscribers. Amazon has temporarily pushed back Prime Day, but good news, a summer sale is on the way. CNBC says the e-commerce giant is planning a biggest sale in the sky event that would be used to jumpstart sales for sellers hit by the health crisis. The fashion-oriented campaign would supposedly start June 22nd and last for 7 to 10 days, with discounts of at least 30% for merchandise in the sale. You can now listen to Apple News. 9 to 5 Mac says with the release of a new Apple operating system, there is a new audio stories option for some of Apple News Plus features. Recorded stories will appear in a media player that takes the same form as the ones in podcasts, enabling rewind, skipping, and playback speed adjustment. Tech Report, Larry Olson, and
Today is Cheese Day.
Nom.
Celebrated on the anniversary of the creation of Roquefort cheese. Roquefort. Never heard of it. Never mind. Old Maid's Day today.
Isn't it a type of blue cheese?
Yeah, it's Roquefort.
Rockford.
I think. Yeah. It's just,
I've never heard of it
Type
called
blue
Rockford.
cheese.
I just smell blue cheese.
my family's a cheese.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I served, I would have people ask for Rockford cheese,
Rockford.
and I would say, "What?"
I think it's Rockford.
It's not
That's
Rockford. It's
probably right.
something different. It's
Well, with the Americanized version
Yes.
is Rockford.
yes, it's
We're in
pronounced a little bit
Kentucky. We
different.
call it Rockford.
But you can, yes.
That's a town in
Roquefort-
France, by the way.
Roquefort.
Is whose name for
Roquefort,
yeah,
maybe. If it's French,
well, I
it's
mean, if you want to do
yes.
I don't speak French.
Roquefort.
Speak French.
Just the only Rockford I know are the Rockford Files on television. You're both too young to remember that show. It's Old Maid's Day today. Yeah,
That's my grandma's favorite card game.
that's
Oh, it
why
was fun when
it's
I
the
was
card
little.
game. It's
Yeah.
I don't know the delineation between playing Old Maid and Go Fish. Is
No.
it the same thing?
No, old maid is you pick the card and you don't want to be left with the old maid.
Yeah.
Oh,
You want
Yeah.
to try and get because my grandma always swore that my little brother and I would team up on her and make sure that
She got the old maid.
That's funny. Did you?
maybe.
It was just,
She knew.
I noticed you said she made the claim of such, but you did not
the,
affirm.
the card might have
or
had
deny.
a crease in it that we were
Oh, there
we
you
were able
go.
I
to
Yeah.
see.
Got an identifying factor.
not confirm nor deny.
And it's also shopping cart day today, or what some people around the country call their car.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take those from the store.
No, you're not supposed to, but I see people
do
around
it all the
town, and
time.
I think,
Yeah, I'm like-
was that loaned to you, or what happened?
they lease them?
I was really impressed by the headline this morning at K105.com, but I was even more impressed when I printed out the story. Over $1.6 million in scholarships awarded by 2020 Grayson County High School graduates.
Mm-hmm.
And, under normal circumstances, they would have an award ceremony and they would hand those out and they would have a ceremony. And since they didn't technically get to have that, then it took a little longer but when I just started fanning the number of pages that it took to print out all the scholarship recipients and all the various scholarship, the endowments, who they come from.
Mm-hmm.
Just various people whose names I go, oh, I remember them. And, even like the Don Lee Memorial, I didn't know that was a scholarship. And but $1.6 million
It's a lot of dollars.
is that's a lot of money to one high school, isn't it?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I've never added up before. We've never had a story like this, like what it totals up, but I've been to those ceremonies.
Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, most scholarships are 500 to 1,000, 2,500 max, something like that. So that's a lot of scholarships.
it is indeed. I got a little something in the mail yesterday.
I got mine.
You got
a couple
yours?
days ago.
So,
got mine
so
yesterday.
everybody, they
Thought it was a license plate at first.
We must have been in the same batch, in the same mailing. I have my absentee ballot. It's first time in my life I've ever had an absentee ballot.
That's mine as well.
I've never not voted on election day. So I've never early voted. I've never gone to use the absentee machine. So this is kind of a new experience for me.
I did when I was in college.
You did
with absentee.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that makes good sense. So I, decided to look, in the envelope. I thought there might be. I would have been willing to put a how to vote guide in here.
Yeah.
A little leaflet from us that said here's how to vote, but they didn't ask us to do that. But I thought it looked pretty professional. And then there are instructions. Did you all read the instructions?
I've not even
did.
opened mine.
You've not?
I already
No.
sent mine back. It's in the mail
for you.
right now.
You did. Well, you could throw yours and hit the post office from your window almost.
Is that what you did? Did you make a paper airplane?
I attempted to, but they had
Boomerang?
when my mailman put it in my mailbox, he folded it in half, so there was an
Oh.
extra weird crease in it, so it would aerodynamically not
Yeah, I
work.
wouldn't have made it back.
Got it. Too much drag. But then, it says voter must sign or mark here. That's confusing to me. My name is Mark.
Mark, right.
So am I marking or am I signing?
Yeah. So Mark.
I guess I need to
where does
call the
Mark
clerk's
go?
office and figure that out. They don't have anything else to answer, I'm sure.
Right.
2 witnesses must sign if Mark is used. Well, now this
Now,
has
my
just
good
gotten
grief.
really confusing.
Well, we are. Is that why you're doing it now? You need us to witness?
Yeah, that's why I'm starting today. Apparently, there are so many guardrails in place. I got to make sure. And then again, signature or mark a voter. 2 witnesses must sign if mark is used. This is discrimination against people named Mark.
It really is. Yeah.
They're just trying to keep me from voting. That's what this is.
No, this is if you're Prince and you're using a symbol instead of your name.
This is some type of
Yeah.
elaborate conspiracy
Yes.
theory. We have been having an internal dialogue. I'll just kind of pull the curtain back a little bit. I'm not pulling it back too much, but a little bit internally on what to do as a company in the way of when these votes get counted and they get released. Because so Sam voted yesterday. I'll vote today. Misty, you may vote today or you may vote sometime tomorrow. You have a ballot now. You can vote. But the weird thing is that for the first time in history, candidates have the ability to send a message one moment and influence a vote, theoretically, a split second later. You could be sitting there about to fill out your ballot,
Right.
and you could hear a message or see a message from someone and go, I think I'll check their box. And it has to be weird. And it doesn't just happen on one day. It's happening over all the days. The next 20 days, you have the ability to do that. And it's just different.
You know,
Weird.
so then that brings the question: how many of those ballots are going to have whiteout on them? Like,
Good question.
are they kicked out?
No, you're
then?
supposed to circle it. I think is what they say if it's wrong.
Mm.
So I think that's in the instructions. If you read
Sam
it,
read
it
the
said
instructions.
No eraser?
no
Good for
eraser.
Sam.
What
no.
about dry
No,
eraser?
if you use a
What about-
pencil, you can erase. But if you use a pen, you're supposed to circle your wrong answer.
What
I
about
think is
magic
they say.
eraser? Well, I wouldn't use a pencil. The mailman may change it.
Right? Or he may circle it with a pen.
Could very well. I guess
no.
my but here's an additional deliberation. June 23rd. June 23rd is election day.
There's a lot of fingers there. Going
But
fingers.
if you postmark your ballot, so long as your ballot is postmarked by June 23rd, it still counts. So if the procrastination takes over, you mail it, but it might not come back to the clerk's office until the 30th or the 29th, or I've had things get lost in the mail. So what's the cutoff to say no more? And as I've been telling you, a handful of votes may make a big difference in this race, because I think that there's a huge level of apathy and people are going to go, I don't know. And there's just not that much to get excited about voting for. This really, for me, is more about, for my particular ballot, is more about for keeping my streak intact to say, I voted.
Yeah, because
No,
we're not in the city limits.
That's right. I didn't want to say, well, I voted every year except for during the pandemic.
Right.
No, I want to continue to vote, but my ballot's pretty easy to fill out. So easy a caveman could do it. So long as he was a conservative caveman. No, this is a primary. I forgot. A lot of choices are already there. I just, you know me. So it's an interesting process. So I said all that to basically say, we may not know who wins. We may not know who wins the elections officially until close to July 1st.
I mean, I guess we could call it the way we wanted it.
I usually
Just
do.
see if it can, and then we'll just see if the ballots catch up with us after election night.
Sam, are you distressed about the proposed adjustment from a Major League Baseball 114 game schedule to 50?
I was talking with one of my friends about this, and I think we're both at the point where whatever brings me baseball, I'm for it.
One game or
Whatever it takes.
114. Just
And
play
I
the
think
ball.
that right now you have the owners are trying to save some money, and the players are like, well, you're not taking that from my money, so you better find another way. And I think it's kind of that they each are pulling on their own side, and they need to find that way in the middle to truly meet and find something, because baseball needs to come back.
Baseball does need to come back. Golf is coming back weekend after next, so that will be welcome. I think the athletes have to remember that their salaries are downriver of gross revenue, or television revenue as well. But if it's going to operate without ticket sales, without people buying hot dogs and Cracker Jacks and those tickets, then there have to be some concessions. Like, they're all scalable. There has to be. So I don't think you can just say, no, I want my full salary, but I only want to play 50 games.
So I think one of the proposals that they brought up first was for the players, like if a player made $25 million this year, the proposal that the MLB sent was that you would only make $5 million this year. And when we look at that saying $5 million, I mean, heck, that's more than we'll make in a long time. But yet, that's a massive step down from their salary. But the reason they took it away from the big guys was that so some of these players that make the league minimum, what they say, which is I think like $650,000, they don't have to lose any money.
Yeah.
So they're trying to take from the big guys to help save the little guys.
By the way, the only slight caveat I would throw, I saw Misty laugh at $650,000.
Yeah.
No, I'm laughing because I'm like, wait a minute. Who's in charge of baseball right now? Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Or-
Speak of
yeah.
the devil,
That
there
guy
he is
right
on TV, right? my boy Stanley. By the way,
Actually, Bernie. That would be more of a Bernie move,
I would
right?
like to follow up and tell you that I heard from Biden again over the weekend, and this time his email to me said, "Can I call you Stanley?" And I was like, "My name's not Stanley."
No.
I think he was asking if he could call me on the phone, but the way that
Right.
it looked, "Can I call you Stanley?" Like, well, you have been.
I mean, commas matter. Was the comma there?
You're incorrect, but nonetheless, $650,000 league minimum.
It's something along the lines
Yeah,
of that.
but whatever. So, but one thing to consider is those salaries are highly taxed in all the cities that you play in Major League Baseball. So you pay occupational tax and a lot of times at a premium in San Francisco and Los Angeles and Chicago and places like it. And you have agents and you have attorneys and it does not take long to blow through the league minimum.
So you're left with 30,000 and a hot dog
yeah.
left over from concession
Here's
stand.
here's your Groupon for sausage and biscuit.
I'll gladly change with them.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like to play ball, sure.
Well,
I like to play, not play well.
Can you hit 300? That's the. When you hit 300, you'll be in the Hall of Fame.
Players could hit 300 off of me if I was pitching.
Yeah.
Probably higher.
I also noticed that the NFL still thinks they'll have a full slate of preseason games. Sam, you think that's pie in the sky?
Yeah. I don't think there's any way.
Do you think they'll have a full regular season?
Yes.
But do you think they'll abbreviate the preseason?
I think there won't be a preseason. I think they're just going to jump in, and they might even start the 1st of October.
Interesting. The cinema chain AMC is warning it may not survive the pandemic. They warned yesterday they may not survive the coronavirus, which has shuttered its theaters and led film studios to explore releasing more movies directly to viewers over the internet. They are the behemoth of chains, and so they have a lot. They have, I'm sure, theaters that operate very well, operate at good margins, and I'm sure they have some that operate poorly, but it takes the big ones and the good ones to help subsidize the smaller ones. But the lack of availability of content, which has been shuttered, their supply line has been disrupted, and then Americans, there have been a lot of changes over the last 3 months where Americans' routines have changed. Not just Americans, global citizens' routines have changed. But the idea of, Misty, I think there are a lot of people who got used to going to church online and will keep going to church online.
I think there's a lot of people who are homeschool their kids.
That's
I think
right.
they're going to change the way they do life just because they like the way it worked out for them.
There are a lot of people that got used to watching new movies at home, and they say, well, I'm going to watch new movies at home. And when people make different choices in that regard, it puts companies in a bind, and AMC is saying, we may have to cry uncle here if we,
Yeah.
Have you all talked to anyone this week that says, I'm going back to the movie theater this weekend?
The only person I know is a movie critic down in Bowling Green, but that's
their profession, I guess, right?
So
Or at
he
least
kind of has a reason to.
I don't have a lot of people who go to the movies on a regular basis other than moms with young kids, and I don't know that there's anything coming
Couldn't
out.
tell you the last movie I went to.
Oh, no, I like to go to the movies. I go to the movies by myself a lot.
I think
just
I had
like
an-
to go, have my own popcorn.
I had an extra credit assignment in college. I think was the last one that I went to see The Darkest Hour. Was that the Winston Churchill movie?
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah.
But
That's the last time you went to a theater?
Probably. I
Wow.
can't think of it.
I thought I went very infrequently, but
Before then,
You
too,
got me
I couldn't
beat.
tell you. The newest of the new Star Wars, maybe?
the newest of the new Star Wars.
Yeah, so it's kind of the one in, 2014, 2015?
It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I saw this headline, it kind of made me smirk. Hipsters are turning cattle troughs into swimming pools. So a lot of people have decided they want pools at home. And so the hipsters trying to repurpose, since the hipsters don't want to eat beef anymore, they said, well, we got all these troughs. What are we going to do? So they're changing them into swimming pools, to which I said, for those of us kids who grew out here in the country, we've been using cattle troughs for swimming pools
time.
for 50, 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
You name it. There's nothing new in our book. So, but sure, we'll let you think it was your idea.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. We got to get to a break. We'll come back. Got plenty more on the way here on In the Know.
Tax season is underway, and so are IRS scams. Hi, I'm Rihanna Smith Hamblin with the Better Business Bureau. Scammers are pretending to be the IRS, saying you owe back taxes, and they're demanding payment over the phone with prepaid debit cards or wire transfer. If you don't comply, the scammer threatens you with fines and an arrest. Another version claims you're getting a tax refund, and scammers ask you for personal information. If you get calls like these, hang up the phone. For more tips, go to bbb.org.
Entertainment in a new way again this Saturday night at the Lincoln Jamboree in Hodgenville, Kentucky. The show will be held outside and will kick off at 8 p.m. with Jamboree favorites Tiffany Lynn Puckett, and Michael Goodman returns for one night from California, along with Jay Henderson and all of Joel Ray Sproul's Jamboree gang, spotlighting the Singing Binghams, Ronnie Benningfield, and the Singing Lawyer Beth Henderson. Parking can begin at 6 p.m. and there's a $10 suggested donation fee per person or $15 per carload. Social distancing will be enforced and everyone must stay inside their car. Concessions will be available and ice cream from the Sweet Shop will also be on site. The show must go on, and it will, this Saturday night starting at 8 o'clock at Joel Ray Sproul's Lincoln Jamboree in historic Hodgenville. Wow, what an outside drive-in show. In case of rain, the event will be postponed.
This is Governor Andy Beshear. The coronavirus has affected every one of us differently. The good news is help is available right now. Whether it's food or health care, we're here and standing by you to get you what you need. Log on to benefine.ky.gov or call 1-855-306-8959. The process is quick, simple, and you'll soon have the assistance that you deserve. So don't wait. Go online or call today and let us help you.
Looking for fast, easy, and secure electronic banking? Community Trust has a wide variety of banking services to meet your needs, including internet banking, bill pay, and mobile banking. We now have even more great services like Apple Pay, make payments directly from your smartphone, and People Pay, a fast, easy, secure way to send and receive money from your smartphone. Visit us on the internet to learn more at ctbi.com. That's ctbi.com.
Community Trust Bank, building communities built on trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
K105 Weather is brought to you by Future Designs Building Materials on Quarry Road in Litchfield.
It is certainly humid outside, and that humidity is going to help feed some thunderstorms this afternoon, some of which can produce some flash flooding in a few cases. We'll need to watch this carefully. It's not going to be a widespread threat, but that chance will certainly be there. So if you live near a creek or a stream that does flood easily, keep this in mind. Otherwise, again, very humid and very warm. The high in the upper 80s. For the Wave 30 Storm Tracking Team, I'm meteorologist Brian Good.
The K105 105 Days of Summer.
Summer.
Brought to you by Future Designs on the Twin Lakes Best Mix. K105.
When your baby leaves you all alone.
Did you know cranes?
What, the animal or the machine?
The machine.
Okay.
Cranes are built using cranes.
That's like chicken and egg.
So, absolutely.
How was the first crane built?
That's what I want to know.
Yeah, where'd it come from?
So, is it in ways like the Russian nesting dolls, where you first had to build a little bitty teeny tiny Russian nesting doll by hand, and then use that doll as the mold then for a slightly larger, and then go from there? Like, did a teeny tiny little baby small crane help make maybe two of those help go together to make the next bigger crane until we got all the way up to the big gantry cranes that we have now that unload cargo ships.
Like evolution of cranes.
Yes, it just seems like to me if cranes are required to make cranes, where did Crane 1 come from?
Is this like Forky on Toy Story 4? Some kid at a play school made it.
Maybe. I just
need a diagram or something to.
Right, like
I can't picture this.
There's just a whole lot of.
Let's start over and talk about the animal cranes. There was the biggest one in my pond over the weekend we've ever seen. I meant
Really?
I tried to get a picture. It was gone.
It's I see them
The
at the lake
pterodactyl crane.
occasionally. They're very interesting. It's kind of weird to see a crane in our parts.
It is, but they're always in our pond this time of year. But this one you always the pterodactyl crane of all cranes. Huge.
Interesting. The legendary college football coach Johnny Majors has passed at age 85. If you're from Tennessee, then you obviously love Johnny Majors. But it's weird that we lost Johnny Majors and Pat Dye in the same week. Pat Dye was a legendary coach at Auburn. But you're seeing a lot of the Southeastern Conference reminiscing about Johnny Majors and some of the great games as a player. And then it was just been a weird week in coaching, Sam, to lose I guess both those guys would come pretty close to being on Mount Rushmore of SEC college coaches. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah, especially Major. I mean, Kentucky football fans will have flashbacks of Majors. I think that he was 13-2 against them or something along the lines of that I was reading.
Pretty much Phil Fulmer has Johnny Majors to thank.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
I mean, Phil Fulmer is the athletic director today, and that's downriver of him following Johnny Majors. So he's got has a whole lot of gratitude to express. Sesame Street and CNN are co-hosting a TV special about racism for kids and families. If you feel like you need to start a meaningful dialogue about race and racism with your kids, but you're not sure where to begin, you can count on your friends at Sesame Street to lend a helping hand. They will air Coming Together, Standing Up to Racism, which will air on CNN Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. So it'll have all the cast of Big Bird. And the reason that I pointed out is, again, the last couple of weeks, what we've been talking about, you can't just squarely say this is racism. There's a whole lot of oppression, and a whole lot of abuse of power involved. And so there are things that we're talking about that aren't race related. There are things that you can talk about that are race related. But no matter where you are on the issues of the day, they remain complex. And I feel ill-equipped to eloquently and thoroughly provide a dialogue to give kids what they need for their age-appropriate group, etc. So I'm a person who I'll take any resources and help I can get to try and navigate the pitfalls that exist on these particular issues. So it's there for you if you decide that it's content worthy of your attention. Billboard's Songs of the Summer of 2020 chart has kicked off with Rain on Me. It's Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande. I don't know if have I heard this? Do you know?
No, but I would be interested to see what those two created.
Do you know it, Sam?
Maybe if I've heard it. Maybe if I heard it, I would know, but I don't. It doesn't ring a bell.
What's the old Steve Winwood song, Higher Love, that Whitney Houston recorded that we were playing, that we have been playing? It took me months before it was pointed out to me, that's Whitney Houston. That's Whitney Houston. So I hear music all the time, including on both of our stations, and don't really understand. Like, oh yeah, that's what that is. And The Breakfast Club. I know, Sam, have you ever seen the movie, the 80s classic, The Breakfast Club?
Honestly, I don't know that I actually have.
Well, you get a pass because of your age. We're still maintaining just complete and total surprise that Misty never has. But Ali Sheedy says, who was in the movie, says there's no way there could be a remake because John Hughes just didn't want that to happen. So there isn't. If you're going to make a film about high school today, you have to talk about the issues of today. Breakfast Club is a bunch of white kids sitting in a suburban classroom going through what was important to John Hughes at that time in the 80s. It's not the same world anymore. I agree. Don't bother The Breakfast Club.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Just leave it absolutely alone. And Misty, I know you were saddened earlier this week to find out that the Def Leppard and Poison and that tour is being postponed to 2021. I know it got you in the heart a little bit when you learned that. But Def Leppard is rolling out new content. You will be able to buy their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance that they did last year. They are releasing that for their fans to be able to enjoy. So there's more Def Leppard content in the pipeline for you. Does that make you happy?
Yes, it does.
I knew you would like that. We got to get to a break. We'll come back. Got plenty more on the way. Point to Ponder, Chart Toppers, Pearl of Wisdom, and more coming up here on In the Know.
Separating the good guys from the bad guys was a lot easier when we were kids. The cartoons and children's movies we watched made it simple. People were either all good or all bad. Superman was the hero and Lex Luthor the villain. Cinderella was humble and good, and the wicked stepmother was, well, wicked. But then we got older and discovered that spotting good and bad isn't always so black and white. Think of a favorite movie you've seen recently. The characters probably faced a complicated struggle between good and evil in their own lives. We may wish that it was easy to pick out the good from the bad in real life, but it's usually not. People are complicated, and so are relationships. If we try to see other people in black and white terms, all good or all bad, we may walk away from a worthwhile relationship because it isn't perfect. Think about the last time someone you thought highly of disappointed you. Was it difficult to see past your hurt and remember the good things you once saw in that person? Our coworkers, our spouse, and our friends may not be superheroes, but they're not villains either. They're people with both admirable strengths and profound limitations. So the next time someone you love and respect lets you down, be careful not to judge them only on their failures in that moment, but see their value as a whole person. For more tips to help your relationships thrive, visit FocusOnTheFamily.com. I'm Jim Daly.
Your choice of lifestyle directly affects your health. And while there are many complex factors surrounding your lifestyle, sometimes the simple truth is that you just need to feel better. Well, rest assured, your feel better starts right here at Midway Pharmacy. We take our time to get to know you and your lifestyle so we can provide sound advice on ways to improve your overall health. So whether your goal is to maintain a healthy lifestyle or overcome that untimely sickness, remember, at Midway Pharmacy.
This is Governor Andy Beshear. The coronavirus has affected every one of us differently. The good news is help is available right now. Whether it's food or health care, we're here and standing by you to get you what you need. Log on to benefine.ky.gov or call 1-855-306-8959. The process is quick, simple, and you'll soon have the assistance that you deserve. So don't wait. Go online or call today and let us help you.
Looking for fast, easy, and secure electronic banking? Community Trust has a wide variety of banking services to meet your needs, including internet banking, bill pay, and mobile banking. We now have even more great services like Apple Pay, make payments directly from your smartphone, and People Pay, a fast, easy, secure way to send and receive money from your smartphone. Visit us on the internet to learn more at ctbi.com. That's ctbi.com.
Community Trust Bank, building communities built on trust. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
After a natural disaster, people want to help in any way possible, but beware of scams. Hi, I'm Rihanna Smith Hamblin with the Better Business Bureau. Never click on links to charities on unfamiliar websites or in text messages or email. These may take you to a lookalike website where you might be asked to provide personal information, or may download harmful malware onto your computer. Also, don't assume charity recommendations on social media have already been vetted. Do your research first at bbb.org.
Johnny was a schoolboy when he heard his first Beatles song. Love me do, I think it was, and from there it didn't take him long. Got himself a guitar, used to play every night. Now he's in a rock and roll outfit.
MP's Point to Ponder for today. What is something socially acceptable now that won't be by future generations?
Oh, I think handshakes.
That was on my list of things.
Yeah.
Wondering if handshakes will really be gone.
Mm-hmm.
What about single-use plastic?
Straws.
When will we see enough plastic floating in our oceans that we say, Boy, that was dumb. In the same way we used to use asbestos and
Right.
leaded paint and leaded gasoline, and we didn't use seatbelts, went barreling down the highway, et cetera,
Car
et cetera.
seats were an option.
That's right. So what all things are we doing today that our grandchildren are going to look back and go, you know what my grandparents used to do?
Idiots.
It just seemed like, why did they do that? That was so weird. But Sam, you got any? You're youthful. What do you see that's wrong with the world and go, why do we do that?
Oh, wow. How long do we have?
One. I need you to you get one.
Now I have to whittle it down. I mean, I'm pondering. You've stumped me.
Okay, we'll circle back to it if you want. I want to remind those of you who are young people, Father's Day is sneaking up on you and the pandemic is over. So you can't use pandemic as an excuse that June 21st, sorry, I couldn't go anywhere to buy you anything. Stores are open now.
You older kids can use your pandemic money on your mom and pop.
You could if you were to have any left, which I have a feeling that you don't. It will be, I guess Father's Day will be the first kind of reasonably normal holiday because there were still restrictions on Memorial Day. So, not that Father's Day is a real big holiday anyway. I guess 4th of July will be the first big throwdown. Unless we see a spike from all these protest cases from the handing back and forth to one another.
Yeah.
On television tonight. By the way, last night I got to catch up on this week's episode of Game On. Keegan-Michael Key is the host, and Rob Gronkowski is on the panel, and Venus Williams is on the panel. It's actually pretty good. It's a little better than I thought it would be with Battle of the Network Stars.
I don't know what that is.
Kind of
Oh, I
cheesy.
thought you were saying no, it's not.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Sam, you don't know what Battle of the Network Stars is?
No.
Sam, I have just solidified your plans for this afternoon.
Lucky boy.
Loving sports like you do.
Yeah,
if you go to YouTube after the show, please get all your duties completed first. But when you go and just search on YouTube for Battle of the Network Stars, you will be delighted. You will wish you had been alive in 1978. Well, that might not be true.
I was going to say, don't take it that far, but.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is on tonight. Holy Moly is on tonight on ABC, in case you're interested. You've really never heard of Battle of the Network
I have
Stars?
heard of it. I don't know that I've ever actually
He
watched.
couldn't tell you what it is.
Then after you watch that, Sam, after you get that buttoned up, watch the Laugh Olympics.
Oh, yeah, no, you do have to know that.
No, that I do not know. No.
And then a little candid camera. Throw that in for some good.
The Laugh
Continue
Olympics. I was always rooting for the Really Rottens,
watching. Right?
just because it seemed taboo.
Right.
You can't cheer for the Really Rottens.
I'm not supposed to be doing this, but here I am anyway.
Mhm. It just seemed rebellious to cheer for the Really Rottens in the Laugh Olympics. That really is a thing. LAFFALYMPICS, Laugh Olympics. Today's highlight in history, this date in 1998, a federal judge sentenced Terry Nichols to life in prison for his role in the 1995 bombing of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. In 1919, Congress approved the 19th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, guaranteeing citizens the right to vote regardless of their gender, and sent it to the states for ratification. Battle of Midway began this date in 1942. I watched that movie recently, the old movie, the original, not the more recent movie. It was good. Birthdays today. Dr. Ruth Westheimer is 92 today. If you don't know what she's famous for, you're too young to know.
And we're too G-rated to tell you.
That's right. I'm not going to tell you. Those of you who know that name know immediately what she's famous for and don't need my help. Michelle Phillips is 76 today. Al B. Sure is 52. Horatio Sands is 51. Noah Wiley is 49. Russell Brand is 45. And Angelina Jolie is 45 today. You should ask Angelina Jolie what she takes, like what she eats, her diet, her cosmetics, and just do the same thing.
Oh, yeah?
Looks pretty good for 45.
I'm going to need her money to be able to pull that off.
Oh, sure. She'll give you all of her tips and
Sure.
advice, and she'll give you the dowry that
I'm
goes
gonna
with
go.
it.
Maybe it's probably not Maybelline with her.
Maybe. Gone but not forgotten this date in 1738, King George III. Dennis Weaver was born in 1924. Chart toppers. Let's see what we can find. Let's go to, what did I pull? 1945, the Les Brown Orchestra with the vocal by Doris Day and Sentimental Journey. Sam, do you know all the words to this song?
I thought that was Dennis's job.
Yeah, he is the
I thought he was the wordsmith of the show.
Staff lyricist.
Yes. You don't want me singing. There are some things I can do, and there's a lot I can't. And singing is one of those that I can't.
Misty, how many times did you hear that song from across the lobby when you were working at the dentist office?
Oh, the entire time.
This sounds like exactly the song you would have heard.
Yeah, the entire time. But she loved it. Your grandmother.
Oh, absolutely she did. Yeah. Like, there's a very distinct reason why I play those. It has nothing to do with me. Well, other than staying out of trouble. 1954.
Keeps you in the wheel.
The Four Aces. 3 coins in the fountain.
Not being disowned today. Not being disowned today. That's all. I get up and that's my only mission. I cannot be disowned today on the radio show.
Maybe tomorrow. Stay out of the ditch.
Right?
That's what I'm trying to do. 1963, the Crystals, Da Do Run Run. A lot of kids just think that's a commercial jingle.
Yeah. What was the commercial for?
I can't.
Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue.
Not today. I can't.
Do you know you're not willing to tell? Or you just can't
No,
grab
I just can't. I don't want to tell that joke today.
Gotcha.
I'm sure it was some bona fide product, and I'm just being sophomoric about it. So that was my thing. Sammy Davis Jr., the Candyman, 1972. That's what my classmates called me at school when I would sell bubble gum. My big first private enterprise of selling Bubblicious and bubble gum.
Listen, those orchestra kids would come around with those dollar candy bars, and it was that
Oh,
butter caramel.
We'd sell those, and I was the most popular man when I'd walk into my classroom and I'd have the box of candy.
So
It'd be like a
good.
swarm to me.
Yeah.
For $1.
Yeah.
And then I'd be left. There was one that was like dark chocolate almond, and those were the hardest ones to sell.
Nobody bought those. so
No
you had
one,
to
no
buy
one.
them.
Yep.
I'd be curious to know how many times my mother had to buy a box of candy bars, but I didn't sell a single one.
You were that
Needed a snack. Stars on 45 medley, 1981. The band didn't care who bought the candy bars.
kid. It was the orchestra that sold them when I was
Yeah,
in high school.
they didn't care whether I sold them to other people or if I ate them and my parents bought them. They didn't care.
So the band sold pizzas.
They being the band.
Remember?
My parents cared.
Band sold pizza kits in my day. Well, even in your day. And the
Oh,
orchestra
yeah, they
sells
did.
the
Mhm.
candy bars.
I sold pizza kits. Yeah,
Yes.
We sold
I
all
sure
kinds
did.
of stuff.
They were so good.
You mean hidden school tax? Sure, I know. 1990, Wilson Phillips and Hold On. Is this the Wilson Phillips song that's in Bridesmaids? At the end?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
This way inside. Oh, someday somebody's gonna
Yeah.
make you wanna turn around and say goodbye. Until then, baby, are you gonna let him hold you down and make you cry? Don't you know?
See if we can. I'm really throwing it around the horn today. We started all
These
the
are
way
some
back
new
in
ones, right?
1945. 1999.
Here's a classic one. That,
For
Backstreet Boys.
Well, no, I'm meaning more of chart topper classic that we
yeah.
play. It's
Yeah.
played a lot. I wouldn't necessarily use this as a classic of my taste.
I was gonna say, Sam, are you calling this a classic?
No. I'm pretty sure my father would disown me if I put this in the realm of the Beatles. And
I was exactly about to say, Sam, the Beatles are on the phone. Would like to talk to you.
Queen, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. They're all here knocking on the door.
Exactly right. You
Excuse me.
you can expect a tersely worded tweet later on today. 2008, Leona Lewis, Bleeding Love. Sam, don't look at her. She'll turn your stomach. She'll make you sick. Don't look at her.
I'm blocked right now. I can't see anything.
It's in your best interest.
Yeah.
And let's go to 3 years ago today. Ed Sheeran and Shape of You. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Thanks for filling in last minute. Sam.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. A life that touches others goes on forever. A life that touches others goes on forever. MB's Pearl of Wisdom for today. Look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow for another edition of our show. From Misty Thomas, for Sam Gormley, I'm MB, and now you're in the know.
Powered by Heritage Media of Kentucky, WKHG Litchfield, Kentucky, USA, 104.9 FM, the Twin Lakes Best Mix.